Imagine if every tiny good decision you make, every little fine, I'll do it action, was quietly sneaking into your future and beefing it up like a personal trainer you didn't even hire. That's basically the compounding law of effort. It's like compound interest, but instead of your bank account getting fatter, you do. Not physically, unless your habit is eating donuts, in which case, yes, also physically, but mentally, professionally, emotionally, basically in whatever area you apply the tiniest, humblest, most unsexy daily effort. Here's the wild part. If you improve yourself by just 1% a day, which is literally the difference between doing something and doing absolutely nothing, you don't end up 365% better by the end of the year. Nope, math goes full wizard mode on you. You end up 37 times better. 37! That's the difference between I jog on weekends sometimes and I run marathons because it's a casual Sunday for me. Or between I dabble in Spanish and I can now negotiate with a taxi driver in Mexico City without getting bamboozled. Tiny things add up like crazy. But let's talk about why this matters in real life, in plain American English, with a sprinkle of humor, because this concept can sound like one of those motivational posters you walk past at the gym, a mountain with a sunset background and the word perseverance slapped on it. You roll your eyes and move on. But secretly, those posters are kind of right. Don't tell them I said that. Here's the deal. We usually imagine that getting better at anything, fitness, learning a skill, starting a business, being less awkward around humans, requires a giant Olympic-level effort. That's why we procrastinate. If you think improvement means going from zero to hero overnight, of course you're going to sit on the couch and think, tomorrow sounds more heroic. But the compounding law of effort says the opposite. Small is actually gigantic. It just doesn't look like it at first. Think of it like watering a plant. Day 1, nothing. Day 2, still nothing. Day 9, maybe a sprout. Day 30, suddenly it's alive and thriving like it pays rent. Improvement works the same way. You don't see it daily, but it's happening behind the scenes, like your body digesting last night's pizza. Let's imagine two people. Person A wakes up one morning and decides, heck yeah, I'm turning my life around. They work out super hard for 2 hours, eat kale like it's their religion, meditate for 45 minutes, read a whole book, reorganize their closet, journal, drink water, and basically become a walking productivity ad. Person B does 10 minutes on a treadmill, drinks 1 extra glass of water, reads 2 pages of a book. That's it. Nothing Instagram-worthy, nothing that would make anyone say, you're glowing. Now, fast forward 3 months. Person A, burned out, back to Netflix marathons and eating snacks shaped like dinosaurs. Person B, still doing their tiny little routine. And now they're actually fitter, calmer, more disciplined, and steadily better without even trying that hard. Fast forward a year, and person B has leveled up so much that people start asking, wow, what's your secret? And they'll answer, I just did things a little bit each day. Not exactly a Hollywood montage, but the results sure are. That's the sneaky magic of compounding. You don't feel the progress. It just waits patiently, stacking on top of itself like Lego bricks, until one day you look around and you're sitting in a castle that you built one tiny brick at a time. And yes, this works in reverse too. A 1% slide every day, that's how you slowly become worse at something without noticing. Skip your habit today, no big deal. Skip tomorrow, still fine. Skip for 2 weeks, suddenly your progress has fallen like a sad Jenga tower. This is why the saying, just show up, is kind of underrated wisdom. Showing up is how you keep the compounding engine running, even if it's running at the speed of a sleepy turtle. In America, we like big, flashy results, big upgrades, big transformations. I lost 50 pounds in 30 days. I went from broke to billionaire overnight. I learned Japanese in a week. Sure, buddy, and I grew wings last Thursday. But real improvement is more like a crock pot than a microwave. Slow, consistent, and annoyingly unglamorous, yet wildly effective. Let's make it even more relatable. Picture your life goals like your credit score. Everyone's favorite topic, I know. You don't fix it in a day. You fix it by paying on time, a little at a time, where each good month builds on the last. And suddenly, one day you check it and it's like, well, look at that, I'm no longer trash. That's compounding effort. Or imagine trying to get better at cooking. Day 1, your eggs look like a crime scene. Day 20, they're edible. Day 200, you're casually whipping up omelets that make people question your career choices. But each little improvement, learning to not burn butter, learning to salt earlier, learning to not set off the smoke alarm, compounds. The real trick here is understanding that small effort doesn't feel powerful in the moment. It feels like nothing. Drinking 1 glass of water doesn't hydrate your whole life. Reading 1 page doesn't make you wise. Doing 5 push-ups doesn't get you abs. Trust me, I've checked. But do these tiny things every day, and your future self will look back and say, dang, thanks for not quitting. And the coolest part? You can pick literally any area of your life and apply this rule. Confidence, money, creativity, health, relationships, skills. Instead of trying to overhaul your life in one dramatic fireworks explosion, you just nudge things slightly forward today, then again tomorrow, and the day after. And eventually, the compound effect kicks in and you go from trying to improve to, wow, look at me actually improving. So next time you think, this is too small to matter, remember, a 1% daily improvement turns you into someone 37 times better in a year. That's basically superhero math. Tiny actions, massive results. The effort you think is too small to count is exactly the effort that changes everything. And all you have to do is show up and do a little bit. Even if you're tired, even if you're cranky, even if you're in your pajamas and the only thing you want is a snack the size of your face. One tiny action still counts. It always counts. That's the compounding law of effort. Be just a little bit better today, and future you will send you thank you notes. Probably handwritten, because future you is classy like that. You know that feeling when you finally find the TV remote after searching for 20 minutes, and you're like, yes, I am a functioning adult. I did it. That little burst of satisfaction that shoots through you, that's dopamine. Your brain's way of giving you a high five for doing something mildly competent. And guess what? That tiny chemical cheerleader is the entire foundation of the psychology of micro-wins. It's not about achieving huge life-changing goals or unlocking superhuman discipline. It's about collecting those small, almost silly little victories that somehow make you feel like you're crushing life one tiny checkbox at a time. See, your brain is basically a golden retriever when it comes to rewards. Give it a treat, boom, happy. Give it a small success, boom, motivated. Each micro-win is like tossing your brain a mini milk bone. Good job, buddy. You did the thing. And the wild part is, your brain doesn't really measure accomplishments on a scale of important or not important. Whether you run a marathon or successfully avoid hitting snooze once, you still get a sprinkle of dopamine. Your brain is like, we're winning? Awesome. Let's do more of that. This is why checking off something on your to-do list feels suspiciously satisfying, even if the task was make it to-do list. Yes, we've all written something down just to cross it off, no shame. That tiny feeling of progress keeps you coming back for more. It's the same psychological trick video games use. Hit a coin? Ding! Beat a tiny enemy? Ding! Collect a meaningless shiny object? Ding, ding, ding! Suddenly you've sunk 3 hours into something because your brain loves the tiny rewards. Turns out, your life works the same way, minus the dragons and questionable graphics. Micro-wins work because they make consistency feel good. We think motivation comes first and effort comes second, but actually it's backwards. Effort creates a win. The win releases dopamine. Dopamine makes you feel good. Feeling good makes you want to repeat the effort. And boom, you're consistent, not because you forced yourself to be, but because your brain literally enjoys the process. It's like tricking yourself into being productive using the same psychology that makes you want another potato chip. Let's say you decide to clean your room. You're staring at the mess thinking, this is a crime scene, I don't have the strength. But then you tell yourself, fine, I'll just pick up 1 sock. You pick up the sock, you feel a tiny internal yay! Suddenly, you're picking up another sock, and then a shirt, and now you're organizing drawers at 11 p.m., wondering who you've become. That transformation powered by micro wins. It wasn't motivation, it wasn't discipline, it was the snowball effect of tiny victories stacking like little emotional Legos. And here's the really cool part. Your brain loves momentum. Once the dopamine starts flowing, your brain shifts from, do I have to, okay, what's next? I'm kind of on a roll. It's like when you go to the gym planning to do one quick set, and suddenly you're working out like you're training for the Avengers. That first tiny action, flip the switch. Micro wins also remove the pressure that ruins consistency. When you set yourself huge goals like, I will change my entire life this month, or I will become the top performer at work, or I will stop touching my phone after 9 p.m. Good luck. Your brain sees a giant mountain and says absolutely not. But when you shrink the goal to something tiny, something that feels slightly too easy, your brain is like, oh yeah, we can do that. And right after you do it, dopamine, which feels a lot better than guilt, procrastination, or the I'll start Monday delusion we all know too well. Think of micromuns like turning life into a game where you get points for showing up. Drink 1 glass of water? Point. Read 1 page? Point. Take a 5-minute walk? Point. Text your mom back? Big point. Life becomes less of a grind and more of a collection of mini-quests, and every time you complete one, you get that small, satisfying spark that keeps you moving forward. This is why habit building works way better when you start small. Want to read more? Don't start with 2 chapters a day, start with 2 sentences. Want to get in shape? Don't promise yourself an hour-long workout. Do 2 minutes. Want to write a book? Write 1 paragraph today, even if it's not good. Want to declutter your home? Just throw out 1 old receipt. We both know you're not going to need it ever again. The win is more important than the size of the win, because once you feel a win, even a tiny one, your brain gets that reward signal and says, more please. And soon, the micro wins turn into micro habits, which turn into macro results. And look, micro wins aren't glamorous. Nobody is ever going to applaud you because you did 5 push-ups or because you finally folded the laundry that's been sitting on your chair like a fabric mountain. But your brain applauds you, quietly, chemically, and that's the applause that actually moves you forward. You don't need big rewards, you need consistent ones. You don't need a massive accomplishment, you need the emotional momentum of tiny successes. Eventually, this rewires the way you see effort. You stop dreading tasks because your brain starts anticipating that little dopamine treat at the end. It's like Pavlov's dog, but instead of salivating at a bell, you're excited about checking off a box that says brush teeth. We're all basically slightly more sophisticated animals. Slightly. The best part, over time, consistency stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like a series of enjoyable mini-wins. The more you win, the more you want to win. And the more you want to win, the more consistently you show up. Your brain trains itself to love effort, because effort equals reward. Suddenly, you're not forcing habits, you're craving them. So, the psychology of micro-wins is really this. Tiny victories fuel your motivation engine. You don't get motivated and then act. You act, get a tiny win, get a dopamine kick, and that creates motivation. It's a self-sustaining cycle powered by the smallest possible actions. And the best part is, you can start anytime. Like right now. Do something tiny. Take a sip of water. Put 1 dish in the sink. Stretch for 5 seconds. Boom. Micro win achieved. Brain happy. Momentum started. It's the closest thing to hacking your own mind without needing a lab coat, goggles, or questionable science. Tiny wins, tiny chemicals, big results. And all you have to do is keep tossing your brain those little treats. Eventually, you'll look back and realize those micro wins built you a macro life.
You know that magical moment when you're finally cleaning your room after putting it off for 3 weeks and you pick up 1 sock? Then somehow, 5 minutes later, you're scrubbing the baseboards like you're auditioning for a cleaning commercial? That right there is momentum. The universe's way of saying, oh, you doing stuff? Let me help you be unstoppable. Once you start, it's like your brain suddenly becomes a tiny motivational speaker whispering, hey, look at you go. Keep going. You're basically a productivity legend now. And the crazy part? That whisper is enough to carry you way farther than you planned. That's the magic of building momentum. Momentum is what happens when success becomes a snowball rolling downhill. You start with something tiny, like one action or one mini win, and then that tiny action unlocks a little spark of energy that says, maybe I'm actually capable of more than I thought. Then you keep going. And the more you go, the more your brain starts believing, oh yeah, we're doing this. We're officially in motion. And once you're in motion, stopping becomes harder than starting ever was. It's kind of like pushing a dead car. At first, you're leaning your whole body weight into it, your legs are shaking, your soul leaves your body for a moment, and the car doesn't move an inch. But then, it wiggles forward just a little, and then suddenly, it's rolling, and now you're jogging behind it yelling, wait, I didn't think this through. That initial push is brutal, but once momentum kicks in, everything gets easier, smoother, and weirdly satisfying. Human psychology works the same way. We think we need motivation to start, but really we just need to start to get motivation. It's backwards, I know. If motivation were honest, it would show up and say, look, I'm not coming until you do something first. And the moment you do something, even the tiniest, most unimpressive thing, your brain goes, oh, we're doing this? Cool. Here's some energy. Here's some confidence. Here's some dopamine. Keep going. Momentum builds confidence, and confidence builds more momentum. And then it becomes a self-reinforcing cycle, like adding batteries into your own internal engine. You start with something small. One push-up, one email, one paragraph, one healthy choice, one task from your impossible to-do list. And once you finish it, your brain gives you a gold star, like, nice job, champ. And that star makes you want another star. So you do another tiny thing, more dopamine, more energy. Before you know it, you're out here stringing wins together like popcorn on a Christmas tree. The cool thing is, momentum doesn't care how big the first step is. It could be microscopic. It could be drink one glass of water, or stretch for 10 seconds, or open the document for your assignment and stare at it with resentment. Even that counts, because once you open it, your brain goes, well, we're here, might as well write a sentence. Then you write a sentence, and suddenly you're writing a paragraph, and now you're writing more than you expected. That's momentum putting its arm around your shoulder like, see, I got you. Momentum also helps you beat procrastination in the sneakiest way possible. Procrastination thrives on the idea that everything is too big, too overwhelming, too annoying, I'll do it tomorrow. But momentum shrinks things. It turns, I need to lose 30 pounds into, let me take a walk real quick. It turns, I need to organize my whole house into, let me throw away this one random piece of mail I definitely don't need. It turns, I need to start this huge project into, let me set a timer for 3 minutes. And once momentum takes over, suddenly the task doesn't feel like a mountain anymore. It feels doable. It feels even, dare I say, enjoyable? Think about how you feel when you're on a streak. You go to the gym 3 days in a row, and now you don't want to break the streak because suddenly you're a person who works out. You write a little every day, and suddenly you start seeing yourself as a writer. You save a little money each week, and now you're responsible. It's hilarious how fast momentum changes your identity. Like, you do something consistently for 4 days, and your brain is like, this is who we are now. And honestly, that's amazing. Use that. Momentum also helps you beat procrastination in the sneakiest way possible. Procrastination thrives on the idea that everything is too big, too overwhelming, too annoying, I'll do it tomorrow. But momentum shrinks things. It turns, I need to lose 30 pounds into, let me take a walk real quick. It turns, I need to organize my whole house into, let me throw away this one random piece of mail I definitely don't need. It turns, I need to start this huge project into, let me set a timer for 3 minutes. And once momentum takes over, suddenly the task doesn't feel like a mountain anymore. It feels doable. It feels even, dare I say, enjoyable? Think about how you feel when you're on a streak. You go to the gym 3 days in a row, and now you don't want to break the streak because suddenly you're a person who works out. You write a little every day, and suddenly you start seeing yourself as a writer. You save a little money each week, and now you're responsible. It's hilarious how fast momentum changes your identity. Like, you do something consistently for 4 days, and your brain is like, this is who we are now. And honestly, that's amazing. Use that. Momentum also means you're not relying on willpower all the time. Willpower is like phone battery, unreliable and drains fast. But momentum charges you while you go. It's renewable, it grows, it multiplies. The more you do, the easier it becomes to do more. That's why those first tiny steps matter so much. They light the fuse. And the best part? Momentum doesn't require perfection. In fact, perfection kills momentum. If you think you need to do everything flawlessly, you won't start. But if your goal is just to take the next small step, even if it's messy, even if it's small, even if it's not impressive, momentum will keep you moving. You ever see a kid learning to ride a bike? The moment they start rolling, even wobbling, even looking terrified, the momentum carries them forward. It doesn't matter if it's a little sloppy, movement is what matters. The reason momentum feels so good is because humans love progress, even tiny progress. We love that feeling of, I did something today that future me will be thankful for. Even if the progress is small enough to seem ridiculous, your brain is keeping score. It knows when you're moving in the right direction. And every bit of movement convinces your brain that you can do a little more, a little more, a little more, until suddenly you're accomplishing things you used to swear you weren't capable of. Momentum makes success feel natural, not forced. When you're in the zone, you don't have to hype yourself up for every task, you just do it. Your energy flows instead of fighting you. You feel in control. You feel like you're actually building something. That's why people who get even a little taste of progress tend to keep going. They've unlocked the momentum loop. They felt the shift from, I have to do this, to, I want to keep going. Imagine your goals like a bike stuck in mud. At the very beginning, you're pushing with all your strength and barely moving. But once the wheels break free, suddenly you're gliding. The mud stays behind you. And soon you're cruising so smoothly you forget the struggle it took to get moving. So building momentum is really about giving yourself permission to start small, stack successes, and let your wins carry you forward. It's about understanding that you don't need motivation to begin, you just need to begin to feel motivated. It's backwards, I know. If motivation were honest, it would show up and say, look, I'm not coming until you do something first. And the moment you do something, even the tiniest, most unimpressive thing, your brain goes, oh, we're doing this? Cool. Here's some energy. Here's some confidence. Here's some dopamine. Keep going. The truth is, momentum is available to you anytime. Right now, today, this moment. All you have to do is take one step, any step, and let that step be the spark that lights the whole engine. Once you start moving, the universe gives you a push. Your brain gives you encouragement. Your energy rises. Your confidence builds. And suddenly you're doing more than you planned, becoming better than you expected, and moving forward faster than you thought possible. That's momentum, the unstoppable force you create yourself, one tiny success at a time.
Picture this. You're trying to become a healthier, more organized, more productive version of yourself, but every time you set a goal, your brain reacts like you just announced you're climbing Mount Everest tomorrow with zero training and wearing Crocs. That dramatic internal meltdown you feel? That's psychological resistance, the brain's built-in nope button. And the reason it slams that button so fast is because your goals sound huge, intimidating, vaguely exhausting, and maybe even a little ridiculous. That's where habit formation through simplicity steps in like a wise, chill friend saying, dude, calm down. Just do something tiny. Because if you make your goals small enough that your brain can't freak out, you can actually start building habits that stick without feeling like you're dragging your soul through a motivational boot camp. The truth is, your brain loves easy things. It's basically a bargain shopper for effort. If something feels easy, your brain says, sure, let's do it. If something feels hard, your brain throws itself onto the couch, grabs a snack, and pretends it didn't hear you. This is why breaking goals into small, winnable tasks is such a game changer. Tiny tasks don't set off the absolutely not alarm system. Instead, they sneak right past it like, hey, don't mind me, I'm just going to take care of this little thing real quick. And once you do that tiny thing, you feel successful. And once you feel successful, you're more likely to do it again tomorrow. Congratulations, you're forming a habit without even trying that hard. Let's say your goal is to get in shape.
If you tell yourself, I'm going to work out for an hour every single day, your brain immediately opens a door, walks out, and slams it behind you. It's too big. It's too much. It's overwhelming. But if you tell yourself, I'm going to do 5 minutes of movement, suddenly your brain is like, 5 minutes? Okay, that's barely anything. We can handle that. And once you do those 5 minutes, sometimes you keep going because momentum kicks in. But even if you don't keep going, you still win, because your goal was tiny and achievable, not monstrous and impossible. That's the secret. Tiny tasks are winnable tasks. They're easy enough that you don't negotiate, procrastinate, or panic. You don't talk yourself out of doing something that takes 30 seconds. You don't need deep life motivation to drink 1 glass of water. You don't need a TED Talk to read 2 pages. You don't need a self-help book to stretch for 15 seconds. But doing these tiny things every day, that's how you build automatic routines. Ever notice how brushing your teeth doesn't feel like an epic challenge? You don't hype yourself up, you don't dread it, you don't put it on a vision board, you just do it. Why? Because it's automatic. It's simple. It's quick. It's wired into your brain like a background app. That's what happens when habits become effortless. And the fastest way to make a new habit effortless is by starting with something so simple your brain doesn't put up a fight. Breaking tasks into micro steps turns you into someone who collects daily wins. And your brain loves wins, even microscopic ones. Each tiny success gives you a little dopamine bump. And suddenly you're like, okay, that wasn't bad. Maybe I can do this again. Before you know it, consistency becomes easier than inconsistency. And honestly, that's the dream. Becoming someone who does good stuff without needing a motivational speech every morning. Imagine you're trying to write a book. If you tell yourself, I'm writing 2,000 words today, your brain will pretend it doesn't know you. But if your job is open the document, you'll do it. And once the document is open, what happens? You write a sentence, then another. And before you know it, you've actually written more than you expected. Did you trick yourself? Yes. Did it work? Also yes. This strategy works everywhere. Cleaning your home. Don't clean the whole house, just put away one item. Learning a language? Don't study for an hour, just learn one new word. Saving money? Don't save $500 a month, just save $5 today. These tiny actions feel so doable that your brain doesn't even blink. But string them together, and suddenly you're accomplishing the big goal that once felt impossible. The reason simplicity works so well is because it reduces the friction between you and taking action. When tasks feel heavy, your brain feels heavy. When tasks feel light, your brain becomes cooperative. It's like when you're carrying groceries. You may not want to carry 10 bags at once, but 1 bag? Sure, easy, no problem. And once you've carried 1 bag inside, suddenly going back out for the second bag doesn't sound too bad. And here's another magic part. When your tasks are tiny, failing becomes almost impossible. You're not aiming for perfection, you're aiming for progress. Even slow, tiny progress is real progress, and your brain loves that feeling. It builds your confidence, strengthens your identity, and makes you believe you can keep going. Eventually, those tiny tasks become automatic routines. You don't have to think, you don't have to negotiate, you don't have to hype yourself up. You just live the habit because it's become part of who you are. Think about how we learn things as kids. Nobody threw us into full sentences before teaching us letters. Nobody told us to run a mile before we learned how to walk. We started simple, super simple. We mastered tiny things, and those tiny things built into bigger things. Adults forget this and suddenly try to do everything at once, then wonder why they burn out, stress out, or quit. Habit formation through simplicity is basically returning to the way we're naturally designed to learn and grow, slowly, steadily, with tiny, meaningful steps. Another major win of simplicity is it destroys the all-or-nothing mindset. You know that mindset, the one where if you can't do the whole thing perfectly, you don't do it at all. That mindset is the enemy of progress. Simplicity says, forget perfect, just do something small today. And when you do that small thing, you stay connected to the habit. You stay in motion. When you skip days, you break momentum. But when you do even the tiniest version of the habit, you keep the loop alive. Look at people who succeed long-term. They're not doing giant heroic actions every day. They're doing small actions consistently. And because those small actions are easy, they don't quit. They don't burn out. They don't melt down. They just keep going. That's the true secret of lasting change. Habits that are so simple and doable that you almost can't not do them. Eventually, these simple actions start to expand naturally. 5 minutes becomes 10. 1 page becomes 3. 1 push-up becomes 5. $1 becomes 20. Not because you forced it, but because your brain gets comfortable and says, yeah, we can do a little more. That's how automatic routines form, not through pressure or perfection, but through gentle repetition. So habit formation through simplicity is really just fooling your brain in a friendly way into building the life you want without activating the "this is too hard, let's quit" alarm system. It's breaking things down so small that your brain feels zero resistance. It's choosing doable over dramatic. It's using tiny wins to build big change. And it's trusting that if you take tiny steps every day, those steps eventually become automatic, natural, and part of who you are. It's like upgrading your life by pressing the easy button instead of trying to lift a car with your bare hands. Simple works, small works, consistent works. And when you put those together, you build habits that don't just improve your life, they quietly transform it. You know how one day you decide to go for a short walk, then the next day you do it again, and suddenly by day 4 your brain is like, wow, look at us, apparently we're fitness people now. That hilarious but powerful shift is exactly what shifting identity is all about. It's the idea that small, repeated wins don't just change your habits, they change the way you see yourself. And once you start seeing yourself differently, your actions naturally follow. It's like slowly rebranding your personality from chaotic but trying to low-key unstoppable. And your brain just rolls with it like, yep, this checks out. See, most people think transformation happens because one day they suddenly become motivated warriors with endless willpower and a soundtrack playing behind them. But real change is much sneakier. It happens in tiny moments, those little wins you almost overlook. Every time you drink water instead of soda, or read 2 pages, or make your bed, or say no thanks to the late-night doom scroll, your brain logs it as evidence. It's like keeping receipts on yourself. And after enough receipts pile up, your brain goes, this is who we are now. You literally talk yourself into a new identity without realizing it. It's wild how subtle it is. You go from "I'm trying to be organized" to "I'm an organized person." From "I'm trying to get in shape" to "I'm a person who works out." From "I'm trying to save money" to "I'm financially responsible." And let's be honest, none of these happened because you suddenly woke up magical. They happened because you stacked tiny wins until your brain shrugged and accepted the new narrative like a plot twist it didn't see coming. Humans love consistency. Your brain will do everything in its power to make your actions match your self-image. If you see yourself as someone who always quits, you'll quit. If you see yourself as someone who's inconsistent, guess what? Yup, more inconsistency. But if you start seeing yourself as someone who shows up, even in tiny ways, your brain starts guiding you in that direction. It becomes harder not to show up because it contradicts the identity you've been building. It's like your self-image becomes a GPS for your behavior. And the coolest part is, you don't need big wins to shift your identity. In fact, big wins can backfire because they feel rare, dramatic, or unsustainable. But small wins? Those are believable, repeatable. They're, yeah, I can do this wins. When you make your bed, your brain broadcasts, we are a person who handles things. When you drink a glass of water, your brain announces, we care about our health. When you read 1 page, your brain updates its file on you. We're readers now. It doesn't matter if the action took 10 seconds. Your brain doesn't rate success by size. It rates it by repetition. This is why identity-based habits are so powerful. You're not just forcing yourself to behave differently. You're subtly convincing yourself that you are different. And once you believe you're the kind of person who does good habits, those habits get easier. Meanwhile, bad habits get harder because they no longer match who you think you are. If you started identifying as a healthy person, suddenly fast food feels like a betrayal. If you see yourself as disciplined, skipping your tasks feels weird. You're not fighting yourself anymore. You're aligning with yourself. And identity also kills the biggest enemy of progress, the "that's just who I am" excuse. You know the one. I'm just messy. I'm just lazy. I'm just not a morning person. I'm just bad at finishing things. These aren't personality traits. They're stories. Stories you've told yourself so many times that you mistake them for facts. But every tiny win is a new line in your story. Every little success is a plot twist saying, actually, maybe that's not who I am anymore. And the identity shift isn't dramatic. It's quiet. You don't wake up one day announcing, from this moment forward, I am ultra-disciplined. No. It's more like, I did that. Day 5, okay, I'm kind of doing this. Day 12, wait, this is becoming a thing. Day 27, oh, this is just what I do now. Day 45, everyone please stand back, I'm a whole new species. This slow, steady identity evolution is what makes long-term change sustainable. Because once your identity shifts, you no longer have to convince yourself to keep going. You want to. It feels natural. You're just behaving in alignment with who you believe you are. Let's say you floss 1 tooth a day. Ridiculous? Yes. Effective? Also yes. Because eventually your brain starts accepting, I'm a person who flosses. And once you think of yourself as a flosser, you don't floss 1 tooth, you floss everything like a dental champion. This is literally how habits become automatic. Identity first, action second. Or think about writing. You write 1 paragraph a day. Not much, right? But after 2 weeks, you go, yeah, I'm actually writing pretty regularly. After a month, I'm a writer. And once you believe that, you show up because it matches your identity. Writers write. Healthy people move. Organized people tidy. Responsible people save. Confident people take action. You behave according to who you think you are. Identity also helps you recover faster when you slip. If you see yourself as a person who's trying, you'll quit the moment you fall off track. But if you see yourself as someone who is disciplined, capable, and successful, missing 1 day doesn't ruin anything. You just bounce back because that's what someone like you does. Identity gives you resilience. It's like the difference between I missed my workout, I failed, and I missed my workout, but I'm someone who works out, so I'll be back at it tomorrow. Same situation, totally different mindset. One identity quits, the other identity continues. And here's the magical irony. You don't shift your identity by thinking differently. You shift your identity by doing differently. You don't become confident by believing you're confident. You become confident by stacking actions that prove you're confident. You don't become disciplined by waiting to feel disciplined. You become disciplined by doing small disciplined things until your brain can't deny it anymore. Identity follows action, not the other way around. So shifting identity is really about creating a version of yourself that matches your daily choices. You slowly upgrade your self-perception 1 tiny win at a time. You gather evidence that you're capable. You gather proof that you can trust yourself. You build a track record your brain can't argue with. And eventually, you become someone who genuinely believes, deep down, I can do this. That belief is what fuels lasting change. Not motivation, not hype, not pressure, but identity. Because when you believe you're the kind of person who succeeds, you act like the kind of person who succeeds. And that's when everything changes. Not just your habits,
but your entire sense of who you are.